What happens when the desert takes everything from you? Not out of cruelty, but out of a strange, silent wisdom? In this episode, we step into Old Billy's most unsettling parable yet. A story where the winds erase certainties, where the sand strips away possessions, beliefs, even identity. But in the wake of this loss, something else emerges. Something deeper, rawer, and truer. As voices around the circle begin to waver and shift, from detachment to vulnerability, we witness how these notes no longer remain out there. They touch, they unsettle, they steal. But is this thief really taking or offering a gift? Come with us, lose the weight, and maybe, just maybe, find the self that was waiting beneath it all.
When the fog descended, silence settled over the village after the discovery of Old Billy's departure. His notes were left stacked, serving as entertainment for the locals who chose to share them with others.
Thief's gift. You set out prepared, trusting that the caravan and its hired guide will ensure your journey. But along the way, the desert begins its silent heist. The merchants flee, frightened by unseen forces. The weak are carried off by relentless winds. The animals refuse to obey. Before you know it, you stand alone, surrounded by nothing but endless sand. One by one, the desert takes what weighs you down, books, tools, jewels, until all that remains is you. And yet, what the desert leaves in place of everything once precious is something far greater. A self that is entirely, irrevocably yours. It will take years to understand this version of yourself, and lifetimes to fully grasp the gift that the thief has given you.
Hi, John. We have already heard Dr. Ada express her willingness to experience what she has studied so much. Setting aside the shield of detachment, something similar was also mentioned by Brian when he spoke of his fascination with the mysteries we suspect exist behind these notes as we delve deeper into them. Well, I graduated in philosophy, where we are required to learn about the ways of thinking of the ancients as well as many contemporaries. However, in the face of each and all of them, I have always been certain that whatever was the object of study would always remain separate from my being. In fact, this idea of my being is a major revelation for me in many ways. What I am trying to say is that this is the first time I feel truly present within the context of my studies. Before, it was always them there and me here, as if I were studying the behavior of another species. Now we have this small text illustrating what the desert can do to our certainties and our references of ourselves, taking away, like a thief, everything I know about myself. This is equivalent to losing one's mind. Even though the text concludes with the assertion that what the desert returns to you is far more valuable than what it has taken, offering a new self, 100% free from human illusions, I don't know. I confess I am frightened because this time I cannot maintain my usual distance from these ideas, thoughts that say, my body is part of the desert's body, and the desert is part of the planet's body. This should be filtered out as a delusional idea, but it isn't. It is stirring something inside me like a relentless thief, intent on leaving me exposed in a public square.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dustin Gravana. I am a psychoanalyst, and this is my first time participating in these readings. Tiffany, my dear, your account closely resembles the dilemmas faced by psychologists who become too emotionally involved in their clients' stories. In such cases, it is recommended that professionals seek supervision, the psychologists for psychologists, for an emergency session. It is not advisable for the scholar to merge with the object of their studies.
Thank you, Dr. Gravana. I understand the concept of detachment, but the truth is, 6 decades of my existence have already passed, and I realize they have been decades of thoughts rather than years of true life. Perhaps the desert is trying to offer life in exchange for certain limiting concepts and beliefs. Besides, what good is a great book if, by the time we finish reading it, we go back to behaving as if nothing we learned has any practical application?
Tiffany, dear of mine, rest assured that the last thing old Billy would have wanted is to bring discomfort or insecurity to anyone. However, you have drawn attention to an important point. Time. I, too, am on the descending curve of my passage through this existence, and that, in itself, triggers an awareness. We must make our human experience truly count, and perhaps it is not possible to do so without making this very exchange with the desert. In any case, if you feel the need to take a break from these meetings, we completely understand. In fact, your honest reaction serves as a valuable indicator of what we should do with the material left by old Billy. Thank you for your transparency and honesty. Now, who would like to present their analysis of this text? Please step forward.
Meet Ava. This text carries a profound and metaphorical depth, using the imagery of a desert journey to symbolize a transformative experience. Here are some key aspects of its meaning and literary impact. Themes and interpretation. Stripping away the unnecessary. The desert, often a symbol of spiritual awakening and purification, forces the traveler to abandon material possessions. This suggests that true self-discovery requires letting go of external attachments. Isolation as a path to self-discovery. The protagonist begins the journey with support but soon finds themselves alone. This mirrors the idea that personal growth and enlightenment often happen in solitude. The paradox of loss and gain. While everything tangible is lost, what remains is something invaluable, a version of the self that is 100% yours. This reflects the notion that self-realization is the greatest treasure one can attain. Time and gratitude. The text suggests that full self-awareness takes years, and true appreciation of the experience spans lifetimes. This highlights the depth of transformation and the evolving nature of understanding one's own journey. Literary strengths. Evocative imagery. The desert, strong winds, disobedient animals, and scattered merchants create a vivid and immersive scene. Philosophical depth. The text reads like a parable, rich with wisdom about detachment and self-ownership. Rhythmic and poetic flow. The sentences build a gradual transition from confidence to vulnerability, then to revelation.
Thanks, Ava. Great analysis. See you next time.